You ever wake up on January 1st just buzzing with the new goal, completely convinced that this time, yeah, this time is going to be different? You've got the plan, you've got all the motivation in the world, and then a few weeks later, it just fades. You're right back where you started, only now you're carrying this extra weight of another failed attempt. It's an incredibly frustrating cycle, and it makes you feel like maybe something's wrong with you. But what if I told you that's not it at all?
Okay, let's really let this sink in because this single idea changes everything we're about to talk about. This was never about a lack of willpower. It wasn't about your character. It was about your strategy. It's like you were trying to run a marathon using rocket fuel. Super powerful at the start, sure, but it burns out way too fast. What we're doing here is getting you the right tool, a system, one that actually works with how your brain is wired, not against it.
So, what's so bad about motivation? Well, nothing. It's an amazing, powerful force that gets us off the couch. But here's the thing, it's also incredibly unreliable. It's an emotion, and just like any other emotion, it comes and it goes. The real secret to lasting change isn't figuring out how to stay motivated 24/7, because that's literally impossible. The secret is building a system that's so good you don't even need motivation.
Now think about this for a second. Nearly half of everything you do every single day isn't a conscious choice. They're habits. I mean, from the second you wake up to the way you get ready for bed, roughly half of it is just an automatic script running in the background. So the real question isn't if you have habits, we all do. The question is, are you the one designing them, or are they designing you? So, if we're going to start designing our own habits, we first need to understand the hardware we're working with, right? And this is where we get that big aha moment. See, your brain isn't just one thing. It's running two totally different operating systems at the same time. You've got a conscious, deliberate pilot and a fast, efficient autopilot. And getting these two to work together, well, that's the key to everything. This visual just lays it out so clearly. On the left, you've got the pilot. That's your prefrontal cortex. This is you at your best, planning, reasoning, making smart, long-term decisions. The only problem? It's a total gas guzzler. It costs a ton of energy, and you've only got so much in the tank each day. Then on the right, you have the autopilot, your basal ganglia. This system is insanely efficient. It doesn't think, it just does. It sees a pattern and runs the script. So the whole goal of habit formation is super simple. Use the expensive pilot to train the cheap, efficient autopilot. That's it. Get the good behavior to run for free. And this idea of the stress default is absolutely critical. Think about what happens when you're stressed out, or tired, or just totally overwhelmed. Your brain, in an effort to save energy, immediately cuts power to the expensive pilot and hands the controls over to the cheap autopilot. You don't rise to the occasion, you fall back on whatever's most ingrained. This is exactly why building good habits is like a form of psychological armor. It makes sure your automatic self keeps you moving in the right direction, even when your conscious self is too exhausted to steer.
Okay, so if the goal is to build these bulletproof automatic behaviors that take care of us when we're stressed, we need the blueprint, right? We have to know how they're actually built. And it turns out every single habit, the good, the bad, from brushing your teeth to endlessly scrolling on your phone, is built on the exact same four-step neurological framework. Let's pull it apart.
So here it is, the blueprint. It always starts with a cue, a trigger. It could be a time of day, a place you're in, an emotion you feel. That cue then sparks a craving. That's the anticipation of a reward. The craving is what drives the response, which is the habit itself. And finally, the response delivers a reward, which basically tells your brain, hey, that was good. Let's remember to do this again next time. This four-part sequence, running over and over and over, is what hardwires a behavior into an automatic habit.
So now that we have the theory down, the two brain systems, the four-step loop, we get to the really fun part, the practical toolkit. How do we actually use all this knowledge to build the habits we want? Let's get right into the actionable stuff.
This is honestly one of the most freeing ideas in all of behavioral science. Your willpower, it's limited. But your environment, it's working on you 24/7. It's constantly sending these little cues to your autopilot. The person who goes to the gym consistently isn't necessarily more motivated than you. They've just designed an environment that makes it easier to go than to skip. Gym bag by the door, workout clothes already laid out. They've made the good choice the path of least resistance.
And this table right here, this is basically your cheat sheet for hacking that whole process. It's all about reverse engineering that four-step loop. If you want to build a good habit, you make the cue obvious, you make the craving attractive, you make the response easy, and you make the reward satisfying. And if you want to break a bad habit, you just flip it. Make the cue invisible, make the craving unattractive, make the response difficult, and the reward unsatisfying. That's it. Every single effective strategy fits into one of these 4 rules.
Let's zoom in on one of the most powerful of those laws. Make it easy. This is where the famous 2-minute rule comes in. See, the hardest part of a new habit isn't doing the thing, it's just starting the thing. The 2-minute rule absolutely demolishes that barrier. So read 50 books this year becomes read 1 page. Run a marathon becomes put on my running shoes. The point isn't the action itself. The point is to become the type of person who masters the art of showing up. You can't improve a habit that you never start.
Okay, so we've covered the why, the how, and the what. But now we're going to get to the deepest layer of change, the thing that actually makes it stick for good. This is the big shift from focusing on what you want to do to focusing on who you want to become.
You know, we brush off our small daily choices all the time because they just don't feel like they matter in the moment. But just look at these numbers. This is the brutal and also beautiful math of compounding. Getting just 1% better each day doesn't just make you a little better. Over a year, you become almost 38 times better. But look at the flip side. It's just as scary. A 1% daily decline doesn't just set you back a little. It erodes you to basically nothing. So those tiny choices, they aren't just tiny choices. They are everything.
But here's the trap. For a long, long time, all that 1% effort feels like it's completely wasted. This is what's called the plateau of latent potential. Imagine an ice cube in a room that's 28 degrees. You crank the heat to 29, 30, 31, and it looks like nothing is happening. You feel like your effort is pointless. But it's not. All that energy is being stored. And then you hit 32 degrees, and boom, you get a breakthrough. This plateau is where most people quit, just moments before the magic happens. They lose faith in the process because they can't see the results yet.
So how do you push through that plateau when you can't see the progress? You shift your entire focus. Look at this slide. The old way, the outcome-based way, starts with, what do I want to achieve? Your happiness is basically held hostage until you cross that finish line. But the identity-based approach, it's a total game changer. It starts by asking, who do I want to become? Now the goal isn't just to run a marathon, it's to be a runner. And all of a sudden, your motivation isn't some external thing anymore. It's just an expression of who you already are.
And this is how you build that new identity. Think of it like this. Every single action you take is a piece of evidence. Every time you do one push-up, you cast a vote for being an active person. You read one page, you cast a vote for being a reader. The best part, you don't need a perfect record, you just need to win the election with a majority. You build the belief that you are that kind of person by stacking up these small, consistent proofs. Your belief doesn't lead the action, your action leads the belief.
And let's be real for a second. You're going to have bad days. You're going to miss a workout. You're going to eat the donut. Perfection is not the goal here. Resilience is. And the single most important rule for being resilient is this simple. Never miss twice. See, missing once is an accident. Life happens. But missing twice, that's the beginning of a brand new habit, the habit of not doing it. What separates success from failure in the long run isn't whether you make mistakes. It's how fast you get back on track.
So we're going to end with this. This isn't about some huge, dramatic life change you have to make tomorrow. It's not about waiting for some magical lightning bolt of motivation to strike. It is about one small choice, one tiny action that casts a single vote for the person you want to become, the person you're already in the process of becoming. So, I'll ask you, what's your vote going to be today?